Hi everyone, McFeeds here with another Match of the Week commentary. This time we're doing Silver Group, which has been incredibly close. A lot of teams at 2-1, 1-2. So we're looking at the Philadelphia Fanfi and Koopa's Troopas, both 2-1, fighting for that top spot in the Silver Group. And with me, I have PDL veteran Easton.
Hello everyone.
So we're just going to get right into it and do a little bit of team breakdown, what Pokemon we think they're going to bring, who we think's got an upper hand in the matchup, interesting sets, that kind of stuff. So on the top, we have Philadelphia Fanfi, Fini's team, and on the bottom we have Koopa Troopas, coached by Koopa. Which team do you want to start with, Easton?
Let's start with the Fanfi since they're on the top. So in this matchup, I think it's very interesting because Fini has to specifically prepare for Sun. And he does have Tapu Fini, which is helpful in Sun and helps block Sleep Powder, so I assume that's going to be one of his brings, but nothing else really stands out to me as an immediate want in this matchup.
I mean, I agree. The Fini set is going to be incredibly crucial because it gets its power lessened by Sun, which is rough for it. It blocks Sleep Powder, like you said, with Misty Surge. But more importantly, it also blocks that Tapu Lele's Psychic Surge because it's slower. So if they're both sent out first, the Psychic terrain gets nullified, and I think it's going to make it really hard for Koopa to bring Psy-Spam.
Unless he runs a very weird Lele set with like Iron Ball just to underspeed it, but I wouldn't expect us to see this in this matchup. I would expect Sun to be the primary mode for this matchup for him.
Yeah, I would agree, especially because it also cuts that Urshifu Rapid Surging Strikes damage. So if you're if we're really both thinking Sun is gonna be Koopa's game plan, I feel like Murkrow kind of has to be a bring. It's got that Prankster. I think it gets Prankster weather moves.
It does have at least one weather move. I'm not sure if it has more than Rain Dance, but that's really all it needs.
Yeah, I mean, I knew it got Sunny Day. I wasn't sure if it got Rain Dance. So
I'm gonna go and double check on that.
I think Murkrow, and even just to match like the Whimsicott Tailwind or help deal with some of the like natural speedy Pokemon that Koopa has and help enable your team, I think Tapu Fini Murkrow are like the two obvious picks from Fini's side.
And Murkrow does get both Sunny Day and Rain Dance, so it will be Rain Dance as the weather of choice here. Which will empower Fini and Urshifu Rapid Strike, so I could see that being a core 3, and then you just build around that.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that this matchup has the potential to be both a terrain war and a weather war.
Absolutely, and then for Fini also, I think Electabuzz could play a really big role as well, because if we're planning it out the way we're thinking, and he's not bringing Tapu Lele on the opposing team, the spread damage is not going to be plentiful, which means Electabuzz's Follow Me gets greater value supporting, for example, the Urshifu Rapid Strike from taking damage.
Yeah, and you kind of can't do the same thing with Brute Bonnet because there's so many grass-type attackers, or there are grass-type attackers on Koopa's team. And it's not like he wouldn't necessarily want to Terra Grass something like the Chi-Yu to be able to eat a hit from Urshifu Rapid. The only other thing I think is kind of interesting about Fini's team is there is like just a little hint of a Trick Room mode that I think could have some legs here. Like if you can get Fini, Blood Moon, and Trick Room, you try and read that Koopa's gonna play Tailwind with Whimsicott, and maybe it's possible, but I don't know that it's going to, like that Aromatisse or even something like Latios is going to be able to get Trick Room up without getting encored by Whimsicott or taunted by Haluja, or just fake outed.
Or murdered, yeah. If he had 2 slow Trick Room Pokemon that he could run as a lead, I could see that as a possibility, because honestly, Koopa's team is so fast that it just does not function in Trick Room at all.
Yeah, and
But
Trick Room Denial is Stantler. Like, as much as I think that Pokemon's decent, it has a horrible matchup this week.
it's abysmal here. If you bring it as like a 6th Pokemon just to deter your opponent from Trick Rooming, it's an option, but then you're basically running a team of 5 and hoping your opponent doesn't catch on that you're not wanting to bring the Stantler.
Yeah, and I think there's a little too many options that Koopa needs to bring in this matchup. Like, you need Whimsicott to be your Sun Setter, your Tailwind Setter. You need Chi-Yu to be your, Sun Tailwind Abuser. I think you also need Weavile for pressure and to be able to hit that Latios Ursaluna well, because Chi-Yu doesn't have the best matchup into Latios and AV Ursaluna.
I also think that the Venusaur has a really good matchup here, despite there being a Latios on the opposing team, because if memory serves, Venusaur gets Earth Power, correct?
It does, and it also gets Weather Ball, which is a little interesting to, maybe snipe the Escavalier or snipe the Ursaluna if rain goes up.
And then just having the Sleep Powder pressure in case the Misty Surge is not up is always important, but Venusaur has very good stabs in this matchup to hit the opposing team. It even has, it can even run Sludge Bomb for Fini and Aromatisse as a lead. Like, I think it's very good here. And I think Milotic is probably also pretty good, considering Electabuzz is only running 1 attacking move and it won't be on the field the whole time, and it does pretty good against the rest of the team, and most of Fini's attacking moves will threaten to lower stats, and that will just activate the competitive.
Yeah, if Brute Bonnet's not coming, I feel like Milotic's really hard for Philadelphia Fanfy to deal with.
And Brute Bonnet does not have a very good matchup, so I think the Milotic is a good bring.
I think the Iron Crown's a little homeless. It doesn't have a good matchup into Latios. It doesn't have a good matchup into Blood Moon. The only thing it can really pressure is Urshifu Rapid. And like we said, it's going to be pretty hard to keep Psychic Terrain up in this matchup.
Yeah, I think even without the Psychic Terrain, Lele has more of a potential bring than Iron Crown, but it's a tough matchup for it, of course. Should be really interesting to see what mode Koopa ends up going into, because the Sun mode looks a lot stronger, but maybe he surprises with the Psychic Terrain mode, and we see some very interesting sets.
Actually, looking at this again, Lele's matchup isn't that bad. There's not many Fairy Psychic resists. Like, your Psychic resists are Murkrow, which is weak to Fairy, Latios, which is weak to Fairy, a Scavalier. So, like, if a Scavalier is not brought, Lele can kind of just spam Moonblast, Dazzling Gleam. I could see something like a Choice Scarf or a Choice Specs Lele actually get a lot of value here, and just not index on that Psychic Terrain at all.
Yeah, Bulky Lele does actually sound like a pretty good idea.
So, moving on to look at the type charts. Kind of counterpoint to Lele being pretty good here. Sorry, let me rewind. I'm not thinking properly. Looking at Philadelphia Fanfy's type chart, something I really want to point out is how bad Chi-Yu's stab looks into this team. There's 4 fire resists. There's 6 dark resists. Like, yeah, it can kind of muscle its way through some checks with, just sheer firepower. Specs in the Sun overheat's gonna nuke basically anything. But if it's not perfectly set up, I feel like a lot of stuff is gonna be able to live a Chi-Yu hit.
I wonder if that's the case, that he brings a less offensive Chi-Yu and uses its ability to enable one of its other Pokemon that can sweep.
I mean, yeah, he only has 1 Fairy resist, so like a bulky Chi-Yu or like a Protect Focus Sash Chi-Yu to guarantee you get 3 turns of, Chi-Yu out there paired with a Tapu Lele could be the play to, kind of punch through this team. Not not really surprising based on what we were talking about earlier, but Koopa kind of has the speed advantage across the board naturally. Most of Fini's threats are, that mid-speed in like the 90, 80 range or even lower outside of the Latios.
Yeah, and we do see the little inklings of the Trick Room variant with those 4 Pokemon below 60 base. But we also see difficulty in actually setting up the Trick Room, so we'll see if the Aromatisse comes at all, but it's definitely Phanpy's advantage if it's a Trick Room version, and it's way Koopa's advantage if it's just a regular balance match.
Yeah. I think a sneaky Choice Scarf works wonders for both of these teams. There's a lot of mid-speed Pokemon that, if they have the speed advantage, will just kind of be able to take over this game. Since both teams have priority Tailwind, you can't guarantee that you're going to be faster. You're just going to be able to trade the Tailwind for seemingly free.
Which Pokemon would you give the cheeky Choice Scarf to in this matchup then?
From Phanpy's side, it's probably Urshifu or Latios. I wonder if Ursaluna can actually hit a breakpoint to outspeed Chi-Yu with Scarf. I feel like it'd be close. Oh no, it can. It 100% can, because I had regular Ursaluna a couple seasons ago, and after a Trailblaze boost, it could outspeed Mew, which was also base 100. So a Scarf Ursaluna to really catch a Chi-Yu off guard, or a Tapu Lele off guard, would be really funny to me.
Not a bad choice, How about for Koopa? Not that he really needs the Choice Scarf.
I think it's really just Lele. I think because of how weak to Fairy Fini's team is, if you can get Tapu Lele in a position where it can just spam Fairy moves and, rack up KOs because it has the speed advantage, so you're at least trading 1 for 1, most likely 2 for 1, that can be a big advantage for Koopa's side.
Definitely don't disagree with that. Was there anything else about the type chart that you wanted to talk about?
Just doing a quick look. They both have horrible flying resistances, but nobody really has anything that can abuse flying. I guess Hawlucha. Maybe a counter to Rain Hawlucha would be kind of interesting, where instead of Psychic Seed, you're running Misty Seed.
Ooh, that would be sneaky.
Outside of that, yeah, there's not really anything all that crazy. I mean, Koopa's a little weak to fire, which is kind of funny for a Sun team. Maybe you can, run a Terra Fire Pokemon and abuse Sun yourself, but I feel like that's a little too cute.
I mean, Scarf, Heat Wave, Infernape goes Burr.
Yeah. Scarf, Terra Fire, or Shifu Terra Blast would also do the trick, but I think it's getting a little too cute. We're gonna more likely see the Murkrow just try and or even the Fini just try and set Rain Dance and deny the Sun. You have anything else you want to talk about before we just get into the games?
Not for the type chart, no. Let's watch the games.
Alright. Here we have game 1. We've got Koopa's Troopas on the left and Philadelphia Phanpy, coached by Fini, on the right. I feel like these brings are a little interesting. The Typhlosion missing from Koopa kind of catches me off guard. I think probably better than the Iron Crown.
Yeah, the Iron Crown is mysterious for why it's here, but I mean, I guess because he technically brought the Lele, there could be a set that he found that works in the matchup. I couldn't tell you what it is for now, and then on Fini's side, as we predicted, the Murkrow is here, but interestingly, the Electabuzz was not brought in this matchup.
Yeah, the Brute Bonnet being there over the Electabuzz is a little crazy to me. I don't think there's a single resist to this Hawlucha, so unless something has a Terra Steel, it could just kind of have free reign to click buttons.
Yeah, no flying resist for sure. So if it's probably the acrobatic set, which it most likely is, it definitely just goes burr. And if it's the swords dance set, well, this might be a quick one.
Yeah. All right, let's get into game one. Weavile lead makes sense for the fake out pressure, and yeah, it looks like we're just gonna have the either weather trade or tailwind trade on turn one.
Not covert cloak Murkrow.
Ho!
And
No prankster on Whimsicott, or it didn't go for a status move?
maybe it went for Moonblast.
Maybe.
I'm not sure. But he doesn't get the tailwind up, which is just dunzo here.
Yeah, if Halucha doesn't just kill Urshifu here, I think it is extremely problematic. Fake out in your own psychic terrain. And yeah, Halucha just goes down.
Oh boy. That's rough. And he's revealing the Terra Ground also.
Yeah, this is...
I'm not sure I agree with that.
That's a 4-turn game. 4 turns, 4 Pokemon dead.
And, like, 1 attack landed.
Oh, I really want to know what the Whimsicott was looking to do turn 1.
I imagine he just forgot to put on Prankster, and that ruins his game plan. And if that's the case, I have no clue what he'll do for game 2.
Maybe he has like a cheeky set to no Prankster encore the Murkrow into Rain Dance or Tailwind, and that was the idea, but like it just dies to Urshifu. And
all day, every day.
Yeah, the misplay with clicking fake out into your own psychic terrain is rough. I'm honestly not sure what adaptation he can make to deal with the Murkrow. Like, maybe he can still lead the Weavile and then have something else kill it since it's not Covert Cloak.
I almost think he has to leave the Lele in the back and lead the Murkrow to be able to do something, and not bring the Whimsicott if he did in fact forget Prankster. He's got to lead with something different.
Yeah. Alright, let's move on to game 2. Alright, let's get right into game 2.
Oh no, it's the Whimsicott lead again.
It looks like it's just salty run. Oh, nope, no Urshifu. Not quite full salty run back leads.
Wait, I just realized this is pressure Weavile. It is Moonblast Whimsicott, so we don't even know if it's Prankster still.
You're still in such a bad position because you're behind on the Tailwind. Urshifu's in for free. Unless
and he doesn't Tailwind again, so it's most likely not Prankster, and Weavile just dies to Urshifu again.
Yeah, Sash Weavile in front of Surging Strikes is not what you want to see.
I imagine that Halucha doesn't outspeed. Yeah, it doesn't.
No, we saw in game 1 it doesn't outspeed the Urshifu.
And that's game.
It's just another everybody dies. Moves are clicked. Yeah, I don't know. It felt like Koopa was not prepared to deal with the most obvious lead, in my opinion, which is, Murkrow clicking Tailwind.
The question I really have is just, if that Whimsicott is not Prankster, why would you lead it? Yes, you got 1 kill in game 2, but it's not going to help you win without Prankster. That's its whole shtick. Yeah, you have to lead a different variant, such as you could have led the Halucha Lele, and that would have done much better against the Infernape Murkrow lead.
Or even Weavile Lele. You can fake out the Murkrow, use a fairy move to knock out the Murkrow before it sets Tailwind, and I think you're in a much better position.
Absolutely. And then, notably, Chi was not brought to either game. not that it saves you against Infernape or Shifu, but if you lead that with the Lele, maybe the Lele has enough juice to be able to kill things before everything goes to town with the Tailwind boost.
Yeah, I mean, Fini clicked, you know, the exact buttons you'd expect to be clicked every turn, and it felt like Koopa wasn't prepared for it. Maybe he got a little too cute in prep and started prepping for some more out there strategies and forgot to be ready for the most basic of them.
Certainly possible. We've seen a little bit of everything in this league.
Yeah, I mean they're both still in playoff contention. Silver group's really tight. I think this win puts Koopa, or not Koopa, Fini at the top of the group and leaves Koopa, kind of stuck in the middle. But best of luck to them on the rest of the season. Do you have any closing comments?
Double check your sets, everybody. Make sure that you have the right abilities.
Yeah, missing Prankster it's a horrible, feels bad. Prankster, a weather setting ability. Oof.
And also pressure Weavile instead of inner focus as well. Possibly he missed multiple abilities.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it for this match commentary. We'll see you guys on the next one.